everyone, this is Kathleen Flanagan, CEO and founder of Awakening Spirit, and today I'd like to talk about the history of aromatherapy and essential oils. Over 6,000 years ago, Egypt was the birthplace of medicine, perfumery, and pharmacy. The oils came from all over the world, carried by caravans or boats. They came from Lebanon, Syria, Babylon, Ethiopia, Somalia, Persia, and India. Perfumes were used as offerings to their god. The priests, who were also doctors, used resins, balms, and powders in religious ceremonies, embalming the dead, and in medicinal preparations. The Egyptians were very familiar with the effects of perfumes and aromatic substances on the body and psyche. Many of the preparations were used for both their fragrant quality and their healing power. Kefi was one of the best known perfumes. It was an antiseptic, a balsamic, and a tranquilizer that could be taken internally. Kefi had up to 16 different ingredients, including honey, myrrh, cinnamon, turpentine, juniper, cardamom, calamus, and wine. Aromatics spread from Egypt to Israel, Greece, and Rome, and the entire Mediterranean world. The ancient Greeks further advanced the use of aromatic oils and ointments. Theophrastus wrote a treatise on odors that covered blending perfumes, shelf life, using wine with aromatics, properties that carry scent, and the effects of odor on the body and mind. Symbolically, throughout the New Testament, fragrance occurs. Frankincense and myrrh were brought by the wise men and considered more valuable than gold. Mary Magdalene anointed the feet of Christ with spikenard, which was very costly. Aromatics progressed to the Far East. The Taoists believed that fragrance represented the liberation of its soul. The upper-class Chinese used fragrance on their bodies, in their baths, in their clothing, in their homes and temples, as well as in ink, paper, sachets that were tucked into their garments and cosmetics. The ribs of fans were carved from sandalwood. Huge statues of Buddha were carved from camphor wood. The Japanese turned incense into a fine art of making paste of powdered herbs mixed with plum pulp, seaweed, charcoal, and salt that were pressed into cones, spirals, or letters and then burned on beds of ash. The Middle Ages was of industrial revolution, creating immense sanitation problems. The plagues became an unavoidable part of life in medieval Europe, occurring every few years from the 14th century until the end of the 17th century. The epidemics were spread by rat fleas that carried germs. The plague victims emitted a strong foul odor caused by putrefaction. Municipal authorities lit bonfires of aromatic woods in the streets to purify the air. Sick rooms had herbs at the windows, an aromatic fire burning in the fireplace, and rosewater and vinegar sprinkled on the floor. Doctors in the 17th century often wore protective clothing and a nose bag, which looks like a beak, through which they breathed was filled with cinnamon, cloves, and aromatic herbs. In essence, the term quacks was derived for the doctors. In the 19th century, two important changes occurred. Perfumes and soaps became cosmetics rather than pharmacy, and the first synthetic fragrance was produced. France became the leader in therapeutic uses of fragrance. The term aromatherapy was coined in 1928 by French chemist René Maurice Gattefossé. His interest in using essential oils was stimulated by a laboratory explosion in his family's perfume business, in which his hand was severely burned. He plunged the injured hand into a container of lavender oil and was amazed at how quickly it healed. By the 1960s, French doctor Jean Valnet and the Austrian biochemist Madame Marguerite Maury were inspired by Gattefossés's work. Dr. Valnet was a surgeon in World War II and used essential oils such as thyme, clove, lemon, and chamomile on wounds and burns, and later found fragrances were also successful in treating psychiatric problems. Valnet inspired the modern aromatherapy movement when his book, Aromatherapy, was translated in English as The Practice of Aromatherapists. In 1977, Robert Tisserand's book, The Art of Aromatherapy, which was strongly influenced by the work of Valnet and Gattefossé, that was successful in capturing the American interest. Valnet, Mori, and Tisserand turned aromatherapy into a disciplined healing art that was swept throughout the world. Thanks for watching. This is Kathleen Flanagan, CEO and founder of Awakening Spirit.